At the left of the device is the micrometer. This is adjustable by thousandths of an inch and allows you to precisely set the length of your case trim. You'll see at the top of it a little knob that allows you to lock the setting. The silver post emerging from the micrometer is the post against which the brass will seat and allows you to get a firm cut. As you get to the center, you'll notice the two steel rails at the bottom which allow the case holder to self-center and also to have a good solid mount. In the middle up top is the aluminum shark fin that Sinclair adds to their version. This basically allows you to set the tension with which the case holder is held in place. And then as you make it all the way to the right, you see the cutter itself. It's essentially a custom end mill which is mounted with a hand crank and then rides in a steel body. Sinclair's version also adds the black aluminum base with two mounting holes which allows you to secure it to the bench. The Wilson cutters use these special case holders that are designed specifically to work with this cutter. They're basically cartridge family specific. This one will fit both the 223 and also the 222. They only go in one way because it's tapered inside and it seats against the case based on the overall taper of the cartridge. For instance, this is the 308 body. Obviously this is much too big for that case. But also, because they're tapered inside, the case will only go in one way. Perfect. Using the trimmer simply requires that you take a case that's been mounted in the case holder, slide it up against the base post that comes out of the micrometer, use the shark fin to hold the case holder in place, and then slide the cutter up against the case mouth to trim it like it's on a lathe. Afterwards, simply loosen up the shark fin, pop the case out of your cartridge holder, and you're done. Once you're used to using the trimmer, you get sort of a rhythm built up in terms of how quickly you can trim cases. For the purposes of the video, I selected a number of cases that are significantly longer than the maximum cartridge length in the SAMI rulebook, and that basically was to show the amount of brass shavings that are being trimmed from the cartridge. In practice, using cartridges that are much closer to the minimum length, which is the truth if you usually trim your cartridges after each firing, usually only takes about 2 to 3 seconds of trimming per piece of brass. You can see the consistency of the trimmer. These are the 5 pieces of brass that we trimmed earlier. All perfect. The trimmer does still leave a burr on the brass which you have to take off with a chamfer and deburr tool. It's not quite like a Giraud trimmer that will take off all of those in one step, but then again it doesn't cost $425 like the Giraud trimmer does. The micrometer is adjustable in thousandths, as I said earlier. You'll note the small set screw on the left side there. That allows you to re-zero it according to what your machine actually does. And then, as I mentioned also, it's got a locking knob which allows you to lock the setting in place. This is really nice because when you're switching from cartridge to cartridge, it allows you to just dial the same number that you had previously and you're trimming brass in no time. Overall, I really do recommend this trimmer. It's one of my most used pieces of reloading equipment nowadays. You really won't find me shooting a reloaded rifle round that hasn't been through this trimmer at some point. My only real beef with it is that the tool steel they use seems to be a little bit prone to surface rust. You can see a little bit there on the body of the cutter guide. Sinclair does now sell a stainless version of this, but it's at a $60 premium, and I wish they had just made it stainless from the get-go. I do recommend the Sinclair version, as the mounting system is a little more versatile, and also the shark fin makes it easier for one-handed use.